How do I create a vision for my life or awaken some of the old dreams that I had? I ask clients or even people that I have conversations with, what would make life extraordinary for you? Or what's the first thing that you would want to work on to make life extraordinary for you? And most people can't answer that question. Even if we go a couple layers deeper than that, it's still a difficult thing for them to describe what it is that will make life extraordinary or what it is that they would like to work towards. Now, one of the problems with that is if you haven't convinced yourself or have a clear enough vision to convince yourself of the things that matter most to you, it's very difficult for you to convince or persuade others to follow you when you're not clear on where it is that you want to go. So, today I'm going to offer you a few simple exercises that will help you awaken your dreams and create a vision to move forward purposefully in your life. Okay, so whenever you decide that you want to start thinking about your vision, the pathway that you want to take to a greater future for yourself and for those around you, you have to take all of the limiting thoughts away from the situation, okay? And one of the best ways that I found for you to take all the limitations off that you see or you're currently dealing with is to see things from a future tense point of view, right? So we're going to make a list of things that describe you 10 years from now rather than what you believe describes you today. Right now, again, this should be a compelling vision of yourself. This should be what makes life extraordinary for you when you have all these extraordinary things in your life. Right. So, I'm going to give you a few things that you may want to consider while you're thinking about this extraordinary life that you'll have. You want to think about your character, your physical body, how things will look 10 years from now when it comes to your business or your career. Also, relationships are very important. Most of us are really, really going to consider finances. So, how will those finances look 10 years from today in your extraordinary life? How about spirituality and your social life, meaning your friends, your family, the way that you spend time and communicate with others? So, an example of this would be for your character. We're going to write down everything with an I am statement here, okay? So, with character, I am a trustworthy person, right? Just that simple. Your physical body, I am at my target weight of 205 pounds. Relationships, I am happily married, right? So, all of these things are going to start with an I am, and we're going to say them in a present tense, even though we're seeing ourselves 10 years down the line, okay? So feel free to expand these categories to whatever will be significant for you. Whatever will make life extraordinary for you, then add those things to the list as well and make an I am statement reflecting who you'll be 10 years from now. Right? So, next, I want you to take that list that you just compiled of the things that describe you in 10 years and break them down even more. So, here's an example of how that would look. So when it comes to relationships, this would be an example. I am happily married. That's what you wrote down in the last exercise. Now we're going to take it a step farther and break it down even a little more. In 10 years from now, my marriage will be filled with blank. So this is where you're going to fill in the blank. This is how you break it down a little bit farther. And I want you to fill in those blanks if that's something that applies to you. So again, we started off from the last exercise with I am happily married in your vision for yourself. And now we're going to go deeper and we're going to say, in 10 years from now, my marriage is filled with blank. In 10 years from now, my spouse and I spend our time doing blank, right? In 10 years from now, my favorite place that we visited as a couple was, all right? So I want you to fill that in, and I'll give you an example of what that would look like for me, right? So in 10 years, my marriage is filled with so many wonderful memories and very few days apart. In 10 years, my spouse and I spend our time traveling to different concerts and venues. In 10 years from now, my favorite place that we visited as a couple was Italy, right? So here's a clue for you. I know some of you have been to some very, very wonderful places already, but the key here is that in 10 years from now, you should have somewhere that you have visited within this last 10 years that is even more extraordinary than the places that you visited already. All right. So in my 10 years from now, the place that we visited as a couple shouldn't be somewhere that you've already visited already. Okay. When we're thinking about that extraordinary vision that we have for ourselves. All right. So here's a few questions that might help you. So I want you to write these down. Okay. In 10 years from now, I am blank years old. All right. Now, again, write these down because you're going to fill in the blank. This is something that's going to help you develop that extraordinary vision for yourself. In tears, in 10 years from now, I live blank. In 10 years from now, I feel. In 10 years, I am. In 10 years, my finances. In 10 years, I change the world by. In 10 years, I spend my time. In 10 years, I spend my alone time. In 10 years, my greatest fulfillment is. In 10 years, my children describe me as. In 10 years, I give God glory most by. Right. So, again, this is one of those sections where to make your life extraordinary and exactly what you desire for it to be, I want you to add things to this list that may come from old dreams that you had. Maybe something that you wanted when you were a kid, or maybe something that you aspired to do when you were in college or when you first got married, the way that you viewed and you seen the world and the things that you wanted to create. Again, the things that made life extraordinary that seemed impossible at that time, and maybe they still seem impossible or maybe even more challenging now with the life that you live than they were then. But just because they're challenging and they may seem impossible, that doesn't mean that they are impossible if these things will still make your life extraordinary, right? Write it down. So now that you completed those pieces to the puzzle of an extraordinary life, you'll be ready to create a clear vision for your life. All right. So this vision will inspire you to dream, imagine, and it'll also be the pathway to your extraordinary life. So here's how it works. I want you to take down the information that you compiled from the first two exercises. And now I want you to imagine all these things being played out in your life as if it was a movie. I mean, literally, I want you to start it off as the first morning on the first day of you beginning this new extraordinary life. What does it look like? What does it feel like? Who's going to be there with you? Now let's get started with this extraordinary first day. Now here's the great thing about it. You get to write this movie, produce it, direct it, edit it, however you choose. So while you're imagining this day and there's something about it that you think, okay, that's not exactly what I want to do, or there's an idea that I have that's even more extraordinary than this, that I would rather go back and replace it with this moment. It's all up to you. It's your life, it's your vision, it's your creation. So let's make it all that you ever hoped, imagined, and now dreamed. But when you approach this exercise, I want you to bring all of your heart with you. I want you to bring all of your dreams, all of your ambitions, bring all the positive energy that you can bring with you to this exercise. You must make sure that you're in a quiet place where there's no interruptions, that you have enough time to really just immerse yourself into this work. Because what you're doing is creating a vision for yourself, not only to inspire yourself, not only to motivate yourself, in some cases, not only to convince yourself, but also creating a powerful vision that will persuade others that you lead to want to follow you as well. Understand that every great plan needs to start off with a documented vision. Without a vision, there could be no clear plan. Without a vision, according to scripture, people will perish. This means that your life will be destroyed from the inside out, that your business will be destroyed from the inside out, that your relationships will perish from the inside out because there's no vision. In other words, you are the reason why things aren't working out the way that they should in your life and for the people around you. It's not outside forces that are limiting what you can create, what you can do, be, and have. It is inside forces that are perishing from the inside out, such as limiting beliefs, limiting actions based off of limited thoughts. So today we're going to shift all of that. We're going to take the limits off of your imagination and focus on having unlimited dreams so that you can have an extraordinary life. So the final step that we're going to talk about today is you just simply writing down the edited version of the movie that you just played out in your head. Now you can do this by writing down bullet points. It could also be a vision statement or just write down the whole vision. And once you do this, you'll probably be within the 1 or 2% of people that can actually describe to you what their extraordinary life would look like. Okay? This will truly create the pathway for you to follow, to live a purposeful life, to have an inspiring vision that will energize others because of the clarity and conviction that you have in understanding where it is that you're going and where it is that you want to lead them when it comes to leading your business, when it comes to leading your team, when it comes to leading your household, when it comes to leading your kids or whoever it is that you lead in your world. So once you complete these exercises, you will have a clear pathway to what it is that you truly want and also why you want it. Now you can take this vision that you formulated for yourself and start applying it immediately. However, the best way to give your team and yourself the best chance of accomplishing these goals and seeing this vision come to life is by you creating a plan. A plan based off of this vision that you have for yourself and for your team. We're not going to cover that today, but I will leave a few links down in the description to help you along that process as well. So now that you have your extraordinary vision, the next step for you is to simply do and be all that your vision states. And that's how you can have the extraordinary life that you envision. This is Tori Bryant, your transformation simplificator, simplifying the way that leaders see and respond to complicated times. Talk with you soon.